Welcome to the space. I'm glad you're with me. We'll wait a couple minutes to get started. You want to make sure you're really comfortable in the space that you've chosen to use. This is Joyful the cat. Right, Joy? Yeah. So it's a rainy day here in North Carolina, and I just watered all my plants in here, and it smells delightful. It smells of freshly watered plants. The name for that is petrichor, in case you're curious. Petrichor is the smell of freshly watered plants. Now, I always say start in a comfortable seated position, and this would be the traditional comfortable seated position. This pose is called Sukhasana, or easy pose. If this is not comfortable for you, find something else. Even if that means sitting in a chair, that's fine too. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes now. We don't need any special props today. I have a towel that I'm sitting on, and I'm going to use that to kneel on today. If that would make you more comfortable, get a big bath towel, fold it up. If you don't need it, then that's fine. Don't use it. I've got some saddle pads here, and they work fine too. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So find a comfortable seated position. As always, if I invite you to do a pose or a movement that's not good for your body, please don't do it. Have a lot of care for your own self. This is your practice. I'm going to invite you to go through some movements and poses with the goal of feeling better when we leave our space than we did coming in. That's our goal every time we come to practice. So find a comfortable seated position. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and just begin to allow yourself to settle into this space. Appreciate this time that you've set aside for yourself. For the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be allowing our bodies to expand in different ways. Find areas of openness and comfort. We're going to be looking at some hip openers today, and also a little bit of strengthening. And open your eyes, take a deep breath. Before we begin the active practice, we're going to do a breath practice. And this particular breath practice involves sipping little sips of air on the inhale and then a long, slow exhale. So exhale completely. Inhale, sip, 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 and exhale. Sniff, 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 and exhale. One more time. And notice how you feel with that. This particular little breathing pattern helps to really oxygenate, invigorate the body. All right, interlace your fingers, palms away, arms overhead. Gently stretching side to side, opening that opposite side body, opening that opposite side hip. So we begin the hip openers right now, right? So this is opening that outside hip, the outer hip. Just moving slowly, letting the ribs open on the opposite side, letting that opposite side hip stay grounded. It wants to jump up in the air and you say, no, please stay grounded. Come back to center, release your fingers, interlace your hands behind you, collarbones long, palms away from the body, looking up, arching the back, pooching your belly out a little bit, shoulder blades together in the back, palms away from the body, gaze is upward, pushing your chin out a little bit. And release, shake it out a little bit, right hand down, left arm up, grounding that left hip. Gaze is up underneath that left armpit. So here we are, opening the hip already. Look at that. That left hip is having to really open as it stays grounded. And press up, other side. Let right arm up overhead, looking under that right arm. And come up. And we'll have a simple twist to the right. So left hand on the right hip, right hand behind you. The twist originates in your pelvis, comes up through the low back, mid back, and stops at the neck. The neck is not included in the twist. And as you inhale, spine gets longer. Exhale, maybe a little bit more twist. Inhale, spine gets longer. Exhale, maybe a little more twist. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, return to center. And just briefly notice how you feel. And then we go twist to the left. So right hand to the left knee, left hand behind you as a kickstand, twisting the low back, mid back, not the neck. The neck is not included. And release, come back to center. All right, so now we're going to look at a different twist, and this one does include some hip opening. So you're going to take that left knee, point it towards me. Pelvis stays straight towards the front of your mat. Right leg crosses over. Wrap that left elbow around that right knee. Right hand out behind you as a kickstand. So here's a twist, but it's got a little bit more hip opener on that outer right hip. Yes? Don't bite me. Ardha Matsyendrasana, half Lord of the Fishes pose. And I like to stay in this pose for a very long time. I'm not going to hold us into it for such a long time today, but I'll stay in this pose for 5 or 10 minutes. And have this be a big part of my morning practice. And the interesting thing about holding poses for a very long time is the part that feels tight in the beginning, eventually that lets go and something else feels tight. And after a while that lets go. And you can find another layer to release. So there's no need to push and get as deep as possible. It's more effective to hold for a long time and just wait for things to unravel when they're ready. There's no need to push in any of these poses. We just wait for things to let go when they're ready. No hurry. All right, so now we release the twist, and with great loving kindness, allow your knees to stack. And they may not stack, okay? I do this a lot, so my knees do stack. If it doesn't look much different than Ardha Matsyendrasana, that's fine. This is Gomukhasana legs, and I do this a lot. This is a strong hip opener, and you're likely not to look like this, and that's fine. Whatever your approximation is fine. I can't actually see you through Facebook, so just go to where, this one's not supposed to be comfortable, but it shouldn't have your eyes bugging out of your head. If you keep saying, oh, is it over yet? Then you need to back out. Okay, so come less crossing, let that knee stand up more. It doesn't even have to cross over, okay, if your hips are particularly tight. There's no right way to do this. This is not supposed to be comfortable. Now, it should be comfortable enough that you can hold it for a minute or so. So I'm talking, and I'm going to keep talking so that we stay in the pose. But this is a big hip opener for both hips in a different way. So just notice how you feel about it, and it should feel like you are releasing the outer hip of both hips, and that's fine. And this is another one that I'll stay in for a very long time. Gomukhasana legs. And there's an arm position that goes with this that we're not going to do right now. All right, to come out, you're going to lean back a little bit, and with great loving kindness, lift that leg up slowly, uncross it. With great loving kindness, bring the other leg forward also. Shake it out a little bit, slowly and mindfully. These are both big hip openers. You know, it looks like we're just sitting here, but there's a lot going on. You probably noticed that. All right, so now you're going to take that right knee and point it towards me. Left knee crosses over, and if it doesn't cross over, that's fine. Pelvis is fairly flat, and then that right elbow wraps around. Spine is tall, and notice one side is always easier, and that means one side is always harder. So this one's a little bit tighter for me, and that's just a point of interest. It's not something that I need to fix. I'm just interested, you know, it's just interesting to see, look at that, my body is not the same left and right. How about that? And the goal is not specifically to make your body even, but to let this side be a little bit softer and that side be a little bit softer. And eventually they get more even, but it's not like you have to measure things and make sure that they match completely. So really thinking about grounding that left seat bone, pelvis is level. If your eyes are bugging out of your head, you can back out, and that could mean just letting go of your elbow on your knee. That's fine. I know it's not very exciting, and it's not supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be allowing things to release on their own time and being willing to hold things long enough that this occurs. So you're not trying to wrench things loose. You just want to allow things to open in their own time. Let your body explore what it's like. This is not a position that most people just assume on a daily basis. So your body's like, do what now? And you just say, look, let's just play with it. Let's just sit here for a little bit and see what happens. All right, release your elbow, and with great loving kindness, allow your knees to stack as much as they're interested in doing today. And you can probably see I don't stack quite as well this direction, and that's fine. And what that tells me is this is so important to my body, that my body really wishes to be a little bit more open. And so my job is, with great loving kindness, to allow it to open as much as it wants to today. I'm not going to force it. I'm going to allow things to open at their own pace. There's no hurry. Notice my eyes are not bugging out of my head. My breath stays normal. But I can feel this, I can just tell you, and I'm sure that you're feeling it too. So my eyes stay soft, my breath stays soft. I'm not straining, I'm not pushing, just allowing things to open on their own time. And to come out, release the hands, lean back a little bit, uncross that left leg, bring the right leg forward, wiggle around a little bit. And then let your feet be about mat width apart, and then just come forward and rest. So now we come to kneeling, hands and knees. So I have this towel underneath my knees. If you want a pad, that's great. If you don't, that's great. So find a balanced place with your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we're going to do some cat and cow. And there's a breath and a motion that goes with this. So cow pose looks like this. And it's an inhale, and the action is the action of pulling your hands towards you. They don't actually move on the mat, but there's a pulling action that helps activate your underarms. And then for cat, you're pushing your hands away, rounding the back up on an exhale, looking at your belly button. Inhale to cow, looking up, pulling your hands towards you. Exhale to cat, speaking of which. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat, shoulder blades come forward towards your ears. And in cow, your shoulder blades come down towards your waist. And come back to neutral. And I'm actually going to scoot back on my mat a little bit so it's easier to see on the camera. So we're going to look at lizard pose. And lizard pose is a big hip opener. And it's a little bit towards a shoulder opener as well, but it's mostly a hip opener. So for lizard pose, I'm going to walk my hands forward a little bit. Bring that right leg on the outside of my hands. So the knee is about by my shoulder. And you can come forward any amount, knowing that none is an amount, okay? This is a big hip opener. That knee is really smushed into my shoulder. And if you have more flexibility, you can go down to your elbows. I'm not going to do that, because this is plenty of hip opener for my hips right now. And you can make it easier by not having the back leg come forward as much. Isn't it interesting? It starts to warm the body, and this is not particularly a strength move, but because it's a big opener, it helps to release the muscles, and that increases your circulation, which makes you feel warmer. And now with the foot and the hands in the same position, Begin to straighten that front leg any amount, knowing that none is an amount. So this is a hamstring opener, yes. And then come forward to lizard pose again. Notice if it's any different this time. Maybe. Maybe not. That's fine. And come back, straightening that front leg any amount, knowing that none is an amount. And then bring that right knee back to join the left. A little bit of cat and cow again. And now bring your hands a little bit to the right, bring that left foot forward, and then you can come into lizard pose on the left. Notice how this side is different than the other. And then begin to straighten that front leg any amount, knowing that none is an amount. And come forward, lizard pose. Notice if it's different this time. It's a little bit different for me. And then come back. And then bring that left knee back to join the right. And wiggle around a little bit. Come back to table pose. All right, now we're going to go down onto your hands and elbows with your pelvis still up in the air. So pelvis stays where it is. So here you are, forearms are parallel to each other. They want to come in, your hands want to come together, and you say, no, please stay out. So from here, you're just going to rock forward and back. And you can make this easier by bringing your elbows closer to you. That's easier. You can make it harder by moving your elbows out more. Dolphin pose. And you can come forward any amount, and you can go back any amount. Isn't that interesting? Many of us people who are women have we're weaker in the upper body than men. And this is a pose that can help strengthen the shoulders in a protected way. And now when you're parallel on top of your elbows, you can tuck your toes, and this is an option, you can lift your knees up any amount. And this is harder on the shoulders, and you can continue that same action if you wish. And if that's too hard, then don't do it.
Knees come back down if they're not already. And you can come back to child's pose. Letting the pelvis come down over your feet. My pelvis doesn't go all the way down. And then come back up, and we're going to come back to seated. And this time, bring the soles of your feet together with your feet out in front of you a little bit. And you can hold on to your shins or your ankles or your feet, depending on how your body feels today. And you're just going to allow your knees to come out as much as they wish to. We're going to be here for a while, so make sure that it's a place that's comfortably uncomfortable, okay? It's supposed to be an opener, but if your eyes bug out of your head and your breath gets hurried, then you can allow yourself to back out. Okay, and you could even hold your knees to prevent them from going so far. And I have friends with really open hips, and their legs just go straight down, and I'm not one of them. So this is a pretty big opener for me. And I have to say that of all the poses I do in yoga, this one, Baddha Konasana, is the one that has changed the most with my practice. I didn't look like this when I started. I looked more like this. And so this is amazing to me, to look at my knees falling open to the side and say, wow, that really didn't used to come with this body. And I haven't like put weights on it or, you know, strained at it, but it's just interesting to me to see how much opening has transpired in my body through my practice. It's just really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to bring, you can come out, so fold your legs back together. I'm going to bring my pad a little forward on my mat here, because I'm going to need some space behind me. We're going to look at pigeon pose. So for pigeon, we're going to start in easy pose, so cross-legged. Try to not disturb the cat too much. She doesn't like being disturbed. Okay, so I'm going to take my right leg and lean over to the left and put my right leg out behind me, as straight as it's interested in. In order to balance my pelvis, I have to come up on my hands and then allow that right leg to straighten as much as it's interested in straightening. So to make it easier, this leg could be more to the left. To make it harder, I can bring the foot out more to the right. This is about where I need to be today. Pretty big hip opener. This is a fantastic pose for riders because it allows your pelvis to learn how to be more level. It opens your psoas, which, if the psoas is tight, which is pretty common in people who sit in furniture, which would be us, if your psoas is tight, it tends to pull the front of your pelvis down, and it will also pull your knee up. So for riders, this allows you to get into a better riding position. It lets you sit the trot better. It lets you have more control over where your legs are. Just a good position. So the left side of my pelvis is not supported. So I have to support it with my hands. You want to make sure that the pelvis is supported somehow. So you don't want to lean over to the left and let it fall down. All right, now to come out, we do lean over to the left. Let that pelvis come down. Swing that leg forward with great loving kindness. Big hip, it's a big hip opener. Do you notice? Wiggle your legs around. pigeon pose. Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Eka 1, Raja, king, Kapota, pigeon, asana pose. Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Okay, so now you're going to take that, right leg forward, left leg. So you're leaning over to the right, left leg goes out behind you, supporting yourself on your hands. Notice that one side is always easier. This side is easier for me. Just allowing that left hip to really open. Really allow that left psoas to open. Supporting yourself with the arms. Shoulder blades down towards your waist. Elbow pits face forward. Just allowing things to open at their own speed. No hurry. And now to come out, lean over to the right, swing that leg forward with great loving kindness. Both knees out in front of you, wiggle around a little bit. I promised hip openers, yes? Looky there, hip openers. All right, so now we're gonna look at some hip strengtheners. So I'm gonna remove my pad that I'm sitting on, put it off to the side, come back onto your back, feet are hip width apart, shoulder blades underneath your body, knees are bent, facing the ceiling, palms face down, and then press your pelvis up into bridge pose, Setu Bandha. So this is a strengthener for the whole back body. And you would like to do it with even muscle strength all through your back body. It's tempting to just use your buttocks muscles to do this, but see if you can allow the front of your thigh, the whole of your back, and also the buttocks to help you. And now release down towards the floor, but not all the way. And then press back up. So the skill here, we're going to go up and down, but you're going to go up and down evenly. One leg will want to take over. So you go slowly enough that you can manage that. Notice it and manage it. Up and down at your own pace. Isn't that interesting? And now let your buttocks come all the way down. Fold your knees in towards your chest. Wrap your hands around your knees and rock from side to side. Doesn't that feel good? And now let your feet come down towards the mat. And you're going to take your left ankle onto your right knee. Let that left knee fall to the side. And then bring the whole assembly up towards you, threading that left hand in that hole. Wrap your hands around your right leg, either around the shin or around the thigh. Rocking from side to side. Eye of the needle. Another hip release. Release your hands, let your foot come back to the floor, uncross your leg, wiggle around a little bit. And now cross the right ankle on the left knee. Draw the whole assembly up towards you and rock from side to side. And then release, let both feet come down to the floor. Feet mat width apart, hands out to the side a little bit. Let both knees fall to the right, looking to the left. Another hip opener. Draw the knees up. Knees fall to the left, looking to the right. Notice that one side's different. Inhale up. Knees fall to the right, looking to the left. Inhale up. Exhale left, looking to the right. Shoulder blades are flat on the floor. Inhale the knees up. Draw your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your knees. Rock from side to side. And release your knees. Let your legs come flat on the mat. I'm going to sit up. You can lay down. Set yourself up for Shavasana. Pull each shoulder blade underneath your body so your palms face up. Allow yourself to settle onto your mat. Allow your body to be heavy, fully supported by the floor. I'm going to disturb the cat. Feel the back of your skull resting on the floor. Allow your brain to be quiet in your skull. Let your eyes rest in the back of the socket. Facial features are soft. Breath is easy. Let your tongue be soft in the bottom of your mouth. Jaw slightly parted. Back of the neck is long and free. Throat is open and soft. Feel your shoulder blades flat on the floor.
Arms are heavy. Fingers slightly curled. Feel your ribs moving with your breath on the floor. Your sternum rises and falls with the breath. Lower back is wide and open. Belly is soft. Allow your organs to rest in your back body. Feel your sacrum flat on the floor. Allow the wings of your pelvis to open. Thighs are heavy. Feet are relaxed. Notice your whole body. Notice how your hips feel. We did a lot of hip openers today. Notice your shoulders. They've worked hard today. And now we return to the same breath pattern that we started our practice with. Little sips of air. Sniff, 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 sniff. Release. Sniff, 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 sniff. Release. Sniff, 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 release. Sniff, 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 release. And return to normal breathing. Notice how your whole body feels. Notice any areas of warmth or softness. Allow your body to be heavy and completely supported by the floor. Breath is back to normal pattern. Take a deep breath. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your knees. Place your feet on the floor. Gently roll to your right side and rest there. And with the strength of your arms, press yourself up to seated. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow your head to your heart. I honor the place within you where the entire universe exists. I honor the place within you of peace, of joy, of light, and of love. I honor the place within you where, if you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, there can be only one of us. Namaste. Rub your palms together to generate warmth. Place your palms over your closed eyes. Open your eyes into the darkness and return your hands to heart center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Have a great day. So we bring our own light into the raininess of today. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but it's a gloomy, rainy day today. And yet here I am in my sunroom with my beautiful plants and my lovely cat and all of you sharing our practice. Thank you so much. Have a great day.